The first chapter of the letter to the Colossians describes how Jesus is the image of God, la imagen de Dios. Everything we see was made through him and for him, and all things are held together by him. Today, mis amigos, we will learn how to recite three of the most beautiful verses in all of Scripture en español. Saludos familia, and welcome to Missionali. My name is Roberto, and this is where we learn Spanish through the Bible. Now, if you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, and share this video with others. Now, before we begin, I would like to thank our viewer who suggested these wonderful verses. May the Lord bless you. So now, my amigos, let's begin. Colosenses capítulo 1, versículo 15. Él es la imagen del Dios invisible, el primogénito de toda creación. Let me go over a few key words here. Invisible is spelled exactly the same as it is in English, and it means the same thing. However, make sure to pronounce each I with a double E sound. Invisible. Primogénito translates to firstborn. Now, primogénito can mean first in order of birth, but here it also means first in priority, first in sovereignty, and superior. You'll also see this language in Revelation 1:5, where it says, El primogénito de los muertos. And of course, there's some similarity here with John 3:16, where the word used there is unigénito, only begotten. In Spanish, when the letter G is followed by an E or an I, it has an H sound. So here, the correct pronunciation is primogénito. Creación has an accent over the O, so that is where the stress is located. Creación. Now, if you want some more practice with some of these words, check out Romanos capítulo 1, versículo 20. So, let's repeat our verse. Él es la imagen del Dios invisible, el primogénito de toda creación. Colosenses capítulo 1, versículo 16. Porque en Él fueron creadas todas las cosas, tanto en los cielos como en la tierra, visible e invisibles. In the Spanish translation that I'm using, the NBLA, la Nueva Biblia de las Américas, whenever you see a word in italics, una palabra en bastardía, it means that the word does not appear in the original manuscripts, but it is logically implied. Now here we have two italicized but very common words, tanto and como, which are generally translated as both and. So here, tanto en los cielos como en la tierra would be both in heaven and on earth. ¿Todo claro? Muy bien. There's an echo here of Génesis capítulo 1, versículo 1. En el principio Dios creó los cielos y la tierra. Let's look at the pronunciation of a couple of words. Cielos needs to emphasize the E. Cielos. Tierra also emphasizes the E, but you need to trill the R. So we have tierra. Let's repeat our verse. Porque en Él fueron creadas todas las cosas, tanto en los cielos como en la tierra, visibles e invisibles. The next part of our verse is, ya sean tronos o dominios o poderes o autoridades. Ya sean can be translated a few different ways. Here is being used to translate the word whether, but it would also be appropriate to use it as be they, thrones or dominions, etc. You could even say whether it's thrones or dominions, and so on. All of these options would be completely acceptable. Now, note that the letter O separates these four words. O simply means or. But if by chance one of these words began with an O, then the letter representing the word or would have to be a U, because this provides a much smoother transition. For example, tronos o dominios u otras cosas. Claro? Muy bien. The more challenging pronunciation here will be autoridades. The AU can be pronounced like the OW in how, but just make it a little quicker. Au. The stress of the word is on the DA. Autoridades. As usual, práctica y repetición, mis amigos. So this part of our verse is, ya sean tronos o dominios o poderes o autoridades. The last part of our verse is todo ha sido creado por medio de Él y para Él. Todo ha sido creado can mean everything has been created, or all things have been created. It's basically a word-for-word translation. Now, the original Greek allows for both options. The two L's are referring to Jesus, so that is why they're capitalized. Now, note, in Spanish, the accent mark always goes from lower left to upper right. So let's repeat this last part of our verse. Todo ha sido creado por medio de Él y para Él. Our last verse is Colosenses capítulo 1, versículo 17. Y Él es antes de todas las cosas, y en Él todas las cosas permanecen. A few points on this one. You see todas las cosas twice, and it simply means all things. El actually has two different meanings here, but it's pretty easy to figure out. The first el means he. If we're comparing it to the English translation, you wouldn't say, and him is before all things, but and he is before all things. The second el means him. Y en él translates into and in him. ¿Claro? Muy bien. Permanecen can be translated remain. But another translation in the Spanish from the original language is are conserved in unity. I kind of like this option better. So let's repeat our verse. Y Él es antes de todas las cosas, y en Él todas las cosas permanecen. Well, I hope all of that was clear, mis amigos. So now, let's do all three verses at one time, one at a slower speed and one at a normal conversation rate. ¿De acuerdo? Muy bien. Él es la imagen del Dios invisible, el primogénito de toda creación, porque en Él fueron creadas todas las cosas, tanto en los cielos como en la tierra, visibles e invisibles, ya sean tronos o dominios o poderes o autoridades. Todo ha sido creado por medio de Él y para Él, y Él es antes de todas las cosas, y en Él todas las cosas permanecen. Now at regular speed. Él es la imagen del Dios invisible, el primogénito de toda creación, porque en Él fueron creadas todas las cosas, tanto en los cielos como en la tierra, visibles e invisibles, ya sean tronos o dominios o poderes o autoridades. Todo ha sido creado por medio de Él y para Él, y Él es antes de todas las cosas, y en Él todas las cosas permanecen. Well, mis amigos, I hope that you enjoyed our time together and that these exercises are helping your Spanish to improve. As always, thank you so much for your time, and Lord willing, I will see you in the next video.